Picture this. You open your sock drawer, expecting neat pairs, but instead you find every single sock fused into a single tangled impossible knot. No beginning, no end, just chaos. That knot, in a very real way, is what words, feelings, and even simple plans can feel like for someone living with disorganized schizophrenia. It is often called the rarest, most bewildering phase of an already profoundly misunderstood illness. So are you ready to untangle this knot together with me? Because while it might seem weird, beneath the surface there's a human story waiting for our understanding. Disorganized schizophrenia shows up in fewer than 1 in every 1,000 people. A truly rare condition. Yet, for those who experience it, the impact can be absolutely devastating, capable of stripping away jobs, friends, and even their own sense of self and their life story. Sometimes in the span of a single conversation. We are not just talking about art quirks here. We are talking about a fundamental breakdown in how the mind organizes reality. Today we're diving deep into why this particular subtype is so bewildering, how doctors navigate its tricky diagnosis, and what day-to-day life actually looks like when your mind keeps shuffling the deck of the mind game, where making sense of the world is a constant uphill battle.
Let's meet the family of schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia isn't just one illness. It's more like a constellation of conditions, a spectrum with many different stars. Historically, we've classified these presentations into types like paranoid, catatonic, undifferentiated, residual, and the focus of our conversation today, disorganized. While paranoid schizophrenia often grabs headlines with its dramatic delusions and vivid hallucinations, the disorganized type tends to slip under the radar. Why? Because its signature isn't fear or grandiosity, but profound fragmentation, fragmented thoughts, fragmented speech, fragmented emotions. Imagine a jigsaw puzzle dumped on the floor. All the pieces are there, but there's no picture on the box to guide you. That's the essence of disorganized schizophrenia. The pieces of reality are scrambled, making it incredibly hard to form a coherent whole.
Let's talk about the DSM in plain English.
So how do mental health professionals even begin to diagnose something so elusive? Psychiatrists look for what they call the 3 pillars of disorganized schizophrenia, outlined in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manuals of Mental Disorder, or DSM. First, there is disorganized speech. This isn't just mumbling. It is speech that derails midway through a sentence, jumps topics without warning, or uses words in a nonsensical way. Second, we see disorganized behavior. This means action that breaks social rules, often without any clear purpose or understanding of the consequences. Think about someone wearing 3 heavy coats on a sweltering summer's day, or perhaps engaging in repetitive, seemingly meaningless gestures. And third, there is flat or inappropriate affect. Affect refers to the outward expression of emotions. Flat affect means there's very little emotional expression at all. A monotone voice, an unchanged facial expression. Inappropriate affect is more startling, giggling uncontrollably at truly awful news, or bursting into tears during a light-heated moment. For a diagnosis of disorganized schizophrenia to stick, at least 2 of these 3 core symptoms must be consistently present for a significant period, at least 6 months, and crucially, doctors must rule out other potential causes like substance use, a brain injury, or other mood disorders which can sometimes mimic these symptoms. Only after this rigorous process does the label disorganized schizophrenia land in the patient's chart.
Order the word salad with dressing on the side.
Let's talk more about disorganized speech, because it is one of the most striking and challenging symptoms. Imagine trying to follow a recipe where every ingredient is replaced by a random unrelated word. A person with disorganized schizophrenia might utter something like,
"The Tuesday climbed my purple because velocity sings."
This isn't a poetic license or abstract art. It is often referred to as word salad, and its direct manifestation of thought breaking loose from grammar, from context, and from our shared understanding of meaning. It is not that they're trying to be confusing. Their internal thought processes are simply that jumbled. As you can imagine, listeners usually respond with bewildered, maybe a polite nod, and then often they back away. This constant experience of being misunderstood, of having your attempt at communication fail so spectacularly, inevitably deepens isolation and makes forging connections incredibly difficult.
The emotional whiplash.
Then there is the emotional component, or lack thereof. A flat affect feels like your facial muscles have forgotten the script for human emotion. There is a profound absence of the usual cues we rely on to understand someone's internal state. But inappropriate affect, that's often worse, and even more bewildering for those around them. We are talking about tears at jokes, smirks at a funeral, or an inexplainable burst of laughter at a serious conversation. Families understandably often misinterpret this as rudeness, disrespect, or a willful lack of empathy rather than a symptom of a severe illness. They might scold instead of support, widening the already painful gap there is between the patient and their world. This misunderstanding creates a tragic cycle where genuine attempts to connect are met with frustration, pushing the individuals further into themselves.
Behavior without borders.
Disorganized behavior is another hallmark, and it can manifest in a truly wide range of ways, from the seemingly innocuous to the deeply concerning. We might see someone collecting trash and arranging it into a carefully crafted pyramid in a public park, or in more extreme and distressing cases, sudden public nudity or acts that violate social norms. It's as if the brain's inner traffic light are stuck on green, allowing impulses to roll straight into actions without the usual red tape inhibitions or considerations of consequences. The part of the brain responsible for executive functions, planning, decision-making, impulse control, is significantly impaired. Naturally, safety concerns multiply faster when someone can't regulate their behavior, which is why early professional help isn't just recommended, it's absolutely non-negotiable. It's not about being bad, it's about a brain struggling to impose order and appropriateness on actions.
A true story about Leo.
Let me tell you about Leo. He was 24, a brilliant student who was acing his university, until his meticulously organized notes started dissolving into scribbles of flying cows and talking trees. He found himself laughing uncontrollably when his girlfriend shared the news of her father's cancer. She left, confused and hurt. Leo stopped attending classes. His grades plummeted, and eventually campus security found him in the square. Honestly, he was feeding peanut butter to lampposts, convinced they could grow. This led to his first hospitalization and the first time I met him. And after a long while, a diagnosis of disorganized schizophrenia was put into his chart. It was a terrifying, chaotic time, but with the right combination of medication, consistent therapy, and the steady guidance of a supported employment coach, Leo's life began to stabilize. He now stocks shelves 3 mornings a week at a local grocery store, and he can even hold a 10-minute conversation with me without derailing. It's not perfection, but it is profound progress, a testament to resilience and the power of consistent support. And I look forward to every time we have a coaching session together. And he has allowed me to use this in this video. So thank you, Leo, who is called something else.
Why is disorganized schizophrenia so rare?
So why is this particular form of schizophrenia less common? While the exact cause of schizophrenia are still being actively researched, it's generally understood that genetics can load the gun, making someone predisposed for schizophrenia, and environmental factors can pull the trigger, initiating the onset. But disorganized schizophrenia often seems to require a bizarre and unfortunate cocktail of circumstances. Perhaps early developmental lesions in the brain combined with dopamine spikes that triggers psychosis, but crucially without the intense paranoia that usually pushes patients into care much sooner. Individuals with paranoid schizophrenia, for instance, often experience such distressing delusions and hallucinations that they or their family seek help relatively quickly. Patients with disorganized schizophrenia, however, might simply withdraw or appear confused, making their symptoms less alarming to outsiders initially, or harder to interpret as a severe mental illness. This often means they slide into homelessness or are tragically misdiagnosed with intellectual disability, further shrinking the official numbers and obscuring the true prevalence of this condition.
The chessboard of treatment.
Navigating the treatment for disorganized schizophrenia is truly like playing a complex game of chess. The cornerstone of therapy often involves second-generation antipsychotic medication like risperidone, olanzapine, or aripiprazole. These aren't just tranquilizers. They work by carefully modulating the dopamine levels in the brain, aiming to tame the chaotic thought processes without the severe Parkinson-like side effects often associated with older drugs. For those who don't respond to initial treatment, clonazepam sits in reserve as the powerful, though more closely monitored option. Beyond medication, therapy plays a crucial role. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, adapted for psychosis, for example, helps individuals like Leo to label their cow thoughts, those intrusive, nonsensical ideas, as symptoms of their illness rather than objective realities. This helps them gain a little distance and control. Family therapy is also incredibly important, focusing on lowering expressed emotions within the home environment. This means teaching family members to communicate with less shouting, less criticism, and more understanding, which leads to fewer relapses. Then there is social skill training, which might sound basic, but it rehearses things most people never consciously practice. Maintaining eye contact for 3 seconds, not 30, or how to initiate and end conversations. These are vital tools for navigating a world that often feels alien.
The adherence cliff.
One of the biggest challenges in managing any chronic illness, and especially disorganized schizophrenia, is medication adherence. It's a steep cliff and many patients sadly fall off. Up to 74% of people with schizophrenia skip their medication at some point. and disorganized patients are often at the very top of that chart. Why? Because poor executive functions, a core symptom, scrambles routines and makes consistent self-care incredibly difficult. Remembering to take a pill twice a day, every day, can feel like an insurmountable task when your mind is a tangled knot. So what helps? Long-acting injectable medication are a game changer, eliminating the daily decision making. Smartphone pill reminders can provide a gentle nudge, and having a supportive roommate or family member who, for instance, hands over the morning coffee only after the medbox clicks shut. This can bend the curve back towards stability. These consistent interventions makes the difference between chaos and sort of a balance.
The stigma stings harder.
The stigma associated with disorganized schizophrenia stings particularly hard, because disorganized speech often sound crazy or nonsensical. Strangers unfortunately sometimes film patients for cruel TikTok videos, turning their suffering into public mockery. Employers, hearing the word schizophrenia, often immediately picture violence or instability, completely missing the far more common reality of withdrawal, quiet struggle, and desperate desire for connection. This prejudice creates immense barriers to employment, housing, and social inclusion. Education truly is the only way to beat this fear and misunderstanding. By sharing accurate information, by leaving informed comments, we can help the algorithm push reality over rumors, helping to dismantle the harmful stereotypes that plague this community.
Hope is in the numbers.
Despite the profound challenges, there's absolutely hope. The trajectory of schizophrenia isn't always a downward spiral. We know that symptoms often soften in midlife for about 1/3 of individuals, allowing for greater stability and functioning. Another third manage to maintain stable lives with consistent support and treatment. And while the final third may cycle through hospitals more frequently, even within this group, many can still notch decades of quality living between crises. Here's the critical part. Early intervention, the kind Leo missed by one crucial semester, is the single best predictor of landing in that first, more fortunate third. Catching it early, intervening aggressively, and providing consistent support can dramatically alter the course of the illness. If you or someone you know is wrestling with thoughts that feels like that shock or explosion, utterly chaotic and overwhelming, please reach out to a licensed professional. You don't have to navigate that tangled knot alone. Links to hotline and trustworthy directories for mental health services are down in the description. They may not apply in your local area, so reach out to people in your local area that can help guide you towards the right professional help. You could help save lives with that.
Let's do some myth busting.
Let's smash a couple of persistent myths about disorganized schizophrenia. Myth: disorganized schizophrenia is just an excuse for laziness. Fact: this couldn't be further from the truth. Brain scans consistently shows reduced gray matter in the frontal lobes, the very seat of planning, decision making, and executive functions. For someone with this condition, organizing a simple grocery list can feel as cognitively demanding as solving advanced calculus without any paper or tools. It's a genuinely neurological impairment, not a character flaw. Myth: they can just snap out of it if they try hard enough. Fact: you cannot pep talk away dopamine dysregulation any more than you can talk a broken leg into mending itself. This is a biological illness, and while therapy and support are vital, they work with the brain's chemistry, not against it by sheer willpower. It requires comprehensive, evidence-based treatment, not just positive attitude.
The quick tips for caregivers.
For those supporting someone with disorganized schizophrenia, navigating daily life can be incredibly challenging. Here are a few quick tips that can make a world of difference. Speak slowly and offer one idea per sentence. Their brains are working overtime to process information. Don't overwhelm them with complex sentences or multiple commands. Use yes or no questions to cut down on decision fatigue. Open-ended questions can be paralyzing when executive functions is impaired. Praise tiny wins. Seriously celebrate everything. Taking a shower, showing up on time for an appointment, remembering a niece's name. These are monumental achievements for someone battling this condition. Keep environments calm, lower lights, reduce noise, and keep rooms quiet. Disorganized brains often process sensory input like a blender without the lid. Everything is amplified and jumbled. Creating a peaceful space can significantly reduce agitation and confusion.
Let's look towards the future.
Look ahead. There is exciting innovation on the horizon. Digital phenotyping, for instance, involving using speech pattern apps and other technology tools to flag early signs of relapse, potentially preventing full-blown hospitalizations. And while still in the early stages and making cautious legal waves, psychedelically assisted therapy is being explored for treatment-resistant cases, offering entirely new avenues for interventions. Neither is quite ready for prime time, but trials are recruiting and the scientific community is buzzing with possibilities. So stay tuned. The landscape of mental health treatment is constantly evolving, and I will keep following it, so make sure that you are subscribed and have clicked that bell notification icon to get notified every time I upload a new video. Disorganized schizophrenia is without a doubt a bizarre and profoundly challenging condition. It presents as thoughts without guardrails, laughter without joy, and behavior without breaks. But labeling it simply as the weirdest misses the entire point. Beneath the chaos, the confusion, and the bewildering symptoms sits a person who once dreamed like you, hoped like you, and with the right medication, therapy, and social scaffolding can still craft a meaningful life. And if you're interested in learning more about schizophrenia, then check out my entire playlist on schizophrenia right here. And I look forward to seeing you right over there and giving you a lot of great smart tools on schizophrenia. So check it out.